When you're talking about, everyone stepping up, it's not a big two or a big three. It is a nice segue to my next segment or team that we want to talk about, because, we talk about getting a big three together and getting stars together. But even though they're missing a big star on their team, the Philadelphia 76ers have been on a very nice run of form recently. I think last week on the last episode, I talked about how they were about to beat the Celtics, in which they went on to do. They're 9-1 over their last 10 games. Joel Embiid has been putting together. We need to start including him in MVP conversations.
Yes, we do.
And what stood out to me was his post-game interview after they played the Celtics. Shall I tell you what he said?
Yes, he said, please do.
I would put the clip of him talking, but I don't know if we'll get done for copyright. So I'm just going to read it, and you're going to have to imagine that I'm Joel Embiid. I can't do the voice or anything, so I'm just going to read it. When I look at where we are, when we get most of the team in the lineup, especially me in the lineup, because I love Embiid's ego, what I'm saying, especially me in the lineup. He says, then we're 21-9. So when they're healthy, he's saying they're 21-9. They're 25-17 overall. Okay. He says, that's not bad. That's up there with the best records in the NBA. So all that tells me is we got to stay healthy, keep doing what we're doing, etc., etc. And then he says, there's really no urgency to change anything. With less than a month to go until the trade deadline, the Sixers, when healthy, they look dangerous too. Because when Joel Embiid, what's great about Joel Embiid at his position is, unlike many other superstars in the league, when you look at the Eastern Conference, right? When you look at the Eastern Conference, you look at, Chicago, you look at Brooklyn, you look at Boston. They're great players, are wing players. There's a lot of good wing defenders in the NBA. Tell me which big man in the NBA is stopping Joel Embiid when he's got it going. There's nobody. There's nobody. When he gets it going on the offensive end of the floor, there's nobody that can match up with him, because he's a dominant force. So he's saying, hey, look, we don't even care about the other guy that's not playing for us right now. We're nice. And so it leads me to this question. Given how much better they are, perhaps surpassing expectations without a max player on the court, we all know that they wanted to get an all-star in return for their point guard who's missing time. But now could they be pivoting to look into acquire some other pieces to increase their depth and strengthen themselves, maybe spread out some of that strength rather than getting one all-star in return, getting pieces to fit in around Joel Embiid, because he's not had the best of luck with health. So to waste a year of his prime when he's playing like this would be a downright travesty to waste it by not doing all you can at the trade deadline to make a move to get this man some help, because it clearly isn't coming from the player on his team that's sitting out games.
Well, Mo, as you were talking there, I looked at the standings. In spite of all of the things that's going on, the Philadelphia 76ers right now are 2.5 games out of first place.
Crazy. And they've been, remember the year when they were like almost unbeaten at home, but couldn't win on the road to save their lives? This year on the road, they're 16-8 on the road. They've been getting it together.
Yes. And Joel, like all organizations, Joel Embiid, their MVP and best player on their team, has missed because of COVID. They could very well, in spite of losing Ben Simmons and not playing, they could be a top 2 or 3 team in the conference. And then that says a lot about Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is a star. Make no doubt about it.
Big facts.
Now, you asked who can stop him. Slim and none. Okay. And Slim just walked out of the door. Okay. No one's stopping this. No one's stopping JoJo.
No.
Okay. Now, as long as JoJo is healthy, they will always be in the upper tier of the conference, as long as he's healthy. However, I think the organization has a responsibility to build the team to be able to maintain if for some reason JoJo misses games because of whatever that may be. So I think it's in their best interest to say, if JoJo is healthy, we are an elite team. Because I'm going to say something, and I'm going to say this right now. As crazy as this sounds, in some ways, they may be better right now because they will play through JoJo and just have shooters on the perimeter, because the game is going to slow down in some ways. Now, clearly, you need talent, and Ben Simmons is a talent. But in the right matchup, and if JoJo is playing like JoJo, and you can continue to feed him a la Hakeem Olajuwon, it is possible, Mo, to play through your best player and advance. As long as, you have shooters and shooters make timely shots. I'm not saying it's the most ideal situation, what we saw with the Rockets, but if your big fella is rolling and JoJo is capable of making a run like that.
And his passing this season needs to be highlighted. His playmaking, when they come to double, because this was always a knock on him before, and this is what made Hakeem Olajuwon so great. Not only did he have all the post moves and the footwork and the hook shots and the jump and the scoring ability, but when those double teams come, to be able to whip that pass to the open man that they're doubling off, and for his teammates to either make the shot or make the extra pass as the defense rotates, that's where you win. And this season, Joel's playmaking, last season it was good. This season is taken another step up. And because there's such a lack of big men in the league, I think he kind of has this opportunity to really go out and, I think it would be such a shame if he doesn't make at least a few NBA finals throughout his career in his prime. This is what I used to say about Dwight Howard. When he was the most dominant big man in the Eastern Conference in his prime, it would be, I said it would be a travesty if he didn't win an NBA championship because there's no one that can contain him. Now, as amazing as Dwight Howard was at his peak, most dominant player in the league at the time, he didn't have what Joel has right now in terms of that post game, in terms of that footwork. Dwight was scoring off that screen roll, dunking everything inside, all the putbacks, dunking everything inside. His post-up game was okay. I mean, it was good. It was good enough to get him to an NBA Finals. But Joel's post game, I think it's leaps and bounds ahead. And that's with all due respect to my boy Dwight. Joel's post game, and Joel can shoot the three ball. He can pick and pop. He offers you so many more dimensions and ways in which to play. And I think it's the duty is on. I get the Sixers need to, plan for an emergency if he can't play, if he's injured, etc. But I think they need to go all in and build around that man, because while he's there and while he's healthy, you've got to give him every chance you can to carry you to an NBA championship.